Today in D.C., New Mexico Representative Melanie Stansbury laid out her priorities for the 119th U.S. Congress.
New Mexico's families are often struggling, whether that's putting food on the table or a roof over our head. And that really comes down to making sure that we're rebuilding our economy, we're investing in infrastructure and opportunities, that we're fighting to protect our fundamental rights.
Representative Stansbury also touched on what to expect when President-elect Donald Trump steps into office on January 20th and his plans for the mass deportation of immigrants.
We're very concerned about how this will affect New Mexicans, not only because we're a border state, but because many of our families include immigrants and people of mixed status and dreamers. I think our governor and our municipalities in New Mexico have been very clear that New Mexico will not participate in federal efforts by Donald Trump to break up our families and to violate the Constitution and the law.
Congress says their next duty is to verify election results, as they say they have increased security for Monday's certification and the coming inauguration. Federal investigators today found bomb-making materials while searching the Texas home of the man responsible for the deadly truck attack in New Orleans. 42-year-old Sham Din Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen, was living in Houston. Officials say Jabbar drove to New Orleans in a rented pickup truck and plowed through a crowd of revelers at around 3 a.m. on New Year's Day, killing 14 people and injuring dozens. The FBI says he proclaimed his support for ISIS just before the rampage. Jabbar's brother, who requested CBS hide his face, said he saw nothing to suggest Jabbar was being radicalized.
He's been a practicing Muslim since he was a kid and everything, and I think he took a step away from the religion at some point in his life, and then he came back into it.
Gilbert Montano, the former chief of staff for Albuquerque Mayor R.J. Berry, is now the chief administrative officer for the city of New Orleans.
There is abundance of safety measures that we have in place, and I really want to highlight when there is evil and terror in someone's mind to do something, it doesn't matter the protocols and the safety measures that you have, and that's just what this was. There was an agenda.
Montano says the city is prepared for the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras. Record warm temperatures return to New Mexico today. Chief Meteorologist Grant Tosteroot tells us what to expect this weekend.
Yeah, areas like Gallup, Santa Fe, Farmington, Silver City all broke record high temperatures earlier this afternoon, climbing up to 57 here in Albuquerque. And it's actually just a little bit cooler across the eastern half of the state today compared to yesterday. But tomorrow, for many of us, it's going to be much warmer than what we saw today. We're going to be looking at even more record high temperatures, including here in Albuquerque, down to Roswell, Deming, Silver City, Tucumcari, all going to be looking at record highs as we'll climb up into the 60s and all the way up into the mid-70s tomorrow afternoon. But that also come with some wind and a high fire danger. I'll show you what you could expect this weekend and when we'll see snow chances return to the state coming up later. Jess.
All right. Thank you, Grant. 2 people are behind bars tonight after being accused of trafficking minors. Albuquerque police arrested Johnny Johnson and Roderick Norsweather for trafficking a minor. Today, detectives say they were notified that a 14-year-old girl who'd been reported missing was soliciting sex near Central and Rhode Island. That's near the International District Library. The girl agreed to speak with police, and she said she began doing sex work in 2024 in California after a man named Roderick picked her up for a date. The 14-year-old said Roderick threatened to kill her if she didn't start working for him. Both Johnson and Norsweather are behind bars, and APD is working with the NMDOJ for further prosecution. The state's Environment Department is using money from a legal settlement to fund a new mobile air monitoring laboratory in a region the department says produced nearly 40% of the nation's oil and has rising ozone levels. The $500,000 legal settlement between a conservation group and OxyGas, which is one of the largest oil and gas producers in America, was a result of a lawsuit addressing suspected emissions violations at the gas giant's Carlsbad facility. The funding allows NMED to purchase the lab, equip it with supplies, and cover startup costs. NMED says its current stationary monitors show ozone levels in Lee and Eddy counties exceed 95% of federal air quality standards. The department also says prolonged ozone exposure can damage airways, increase asthma attacks, and make lungs more vulnerable to infections. A nun who served areas of Santa Fe and Albuquerque in the late 1800s is one step closer to sainthood. Sister Badina Seagal, an immigrant from Italy, came to serve New Mexico in the 1870s, working to disarm lynch mobs, provide health care, and even befriended historical figures like Billy the Kid, earning her the nickname the fastest nun in the West.
She did a lot in New Mexico. She came in 1872, and she formed schools, the first public school in New Mexico, hospitals, orphanages. She especially reached out to immigrant children.
In 2014, Common Spirit St. Joseph's Children petitioned the Vatican to recognize her as a saint. They have spent the last decade collecting research and data on her life, presented in Rome as proof of heroic virtue, bringing her one step closer to sainthood. Tonight, we're hearing from New Mexico State University's newest athletic director.
I just stepped into this role yesterday, and it was quite a surprise.
What the president has to say about firing former AD Mario Mocha. Then it is a wild rescue from the great outdoors, how wildlife experts saved an elk trapped in an unusual predicament.
Do you have a great photo? Submit it to KRQE's Report It on KRQE.com or the KRQE News app.
Tonight, we're hearing from the new president of New Mexico State University on his decision to fire athletics director Mario Mocha after years of scandal within the department. The new acting AD also speaking out about how she wants to move the athletics program forward. News 13's Annalisa Pardo has more.
Both NMSU President Valerio Ferme and the now acting AD took a moment to thank Mario Mocha for the work he's done at NMSU. But Ferme says it's time for a clean slate in the athletics department.
When one decides to let go with cause of a long-term employee, it is never a decision that one makes as a single factor, on a single factor.
New NMSU President Valerio Ferme announcing on Thursday the firing of Athletics Director Mario Mocha. And for the first time, Mocha is speaking out about his termination. On Friday night, Mocha posted on X saying thank you to Aggie Nation. He says hundreds of athletes, colleagues, and friends have reached out to him and teased that he'll have more to say about his firing soon. The termination comes after years of scandal, hazing, and allegations within the department, even leading to criminal cases. It also comes just 2 weeks after the Attorney General's report revealed extensive problems within leadership and a, quote, toxic locker room culture throughout the athletic department. The report highlighted student athletes participating in a fight at a football game, a deadly shooting, players accused of hiding criminal evidence, and sexual assault and hazing allegations.
The report certainly was a big factor, but I mean, once you start reading the report, you also start looking at all the other stuff that is surrounding the report.
Ferme named NMSU's Deputy Athletic Director for Strategic Initiatives and Leadership, Amber Burge, as the acting athletic director.
I've just stepped into this role yesterday, and it was quite a surprise. 100% of my focus will be on supporting our coaches and our staff so that they're able to provide the student athletes an excellent experience here.
They say they will work swiftly to implement recommendations from the DOJ report, including hiring a director of anti-hazing efforts for the university. They've also already approved 2 positions for institutional equity following Title IX misconduct and recently completed a campus culture survey. Burge says they will evaluate the survey responses and then see how to move forward, hoping to redeem the university that's been plagued in scandal.
It's more about thinking about the excellence of this institution. I want it to be excellent. I want to get to the next level of performance.
Since Mocha was fired, there was no buyout in the contract. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Annalisa. Ferme says he's not looking for a new AD right now. He says he and Burge will reassess everything in 6 months. Tonight kicked off the very first Albuquerque Art Walk of 2025. The city says the goal is to be the heartbeat of New Mexico's creative scene by bringing local artists and businesses together. And some creatives told us that the art is more than what just meets the eye.
Art to me is just freedom. I guess you could say freedom of the mind. It brings good energy, and whatever you're feeling, you could put it on canvas.
The Art Walk returns every first Friday of every month throughout the year. And Elka Ruidoso, who got her head tangled in a steel chair, is now free. The New Mexico Department of Game and Fish says they found the elk walking around with a chair around its head. And after giving the animal time and space, they noticed the elk did not remove herself. With the help of local law enforcement, they were able to safely sedate the animal and quickly remove the stool. Yesterday morning, the department saw the elk walking with their herd, stool free.